Welcome to episode 27 of Echoes from the Arena. This one was going to be called We'll Do It Live, but we're not able to do it live because I did not know that I had to request rights to uh, do YouTube Live. So we are going to do this live-ish, and I'll get it up as soon as we can. I did post in our Facebook group for those who subscribe to our Facebook page. Um, we I will keep it up and we will take questions if anybody posts anything in there. But we wanted to touch base on, well, what, Dad? A few different things, right?
Yeah, it's a lot going on
In
this
the
time of
world of
year.
sports.
We've got the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Uh,
We got the finals beginning next week. We're going to talk a little bit about yesterday's Champions League game with Arsenal squaring off against PSG.
mhm.
We're going to mention the NBA Finals, which is also coming up. French Open going on right now in Paris.
It is.
World Cup. I know the U.S. plays on the 12th of June. And another event which we spoke about last year at length, and one of our grueling events in sport, the Tour de France.
That's right. Which is coming up in July, I believe. So this will be my second year watching the tour somewhat live. So on the weekends, I'll watch it live. The weekdays, I'll just watch the tape delay and stay off of my phone. But just gonna pull up a Facebook page, make sure I got nothing waiting for me. But I can tell. So yeah, let's talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs a little bit because we do have um, the Vegas Golden Knights will be going up against the Carolina Hurricanes. Hurricanes will be the higher seed. Obviously, they were one of the highest seed. They were the second highest seed in the league this year. So they will get home advantage. First two games will take place in Carolina, next two in Vegas. Dad, how does this one shake out for you?
Well, this is interesting. I think from a viewership standpoint, Montreal might have been a more attractive team to play the Golden Knights. However, Montreal had issues with endurance,
Yeah.
and rightly so. They played two 7-game series,
Hmm.
pretty intense series, both against Tampa and Buffalo. Gave it a shot in the series against Carolina, but you kind of saw right after game one, game two and beyond, Montreal was really sucking wind. But again, we all know the hardest
We all
trophy
knew
to
that.
win.
I think we all knew that after game six of the previous series, that Montreal was sucking wind and they weren't going to be able to keep pace. Problem is, we didn't score enough goals to,
Exactly.
because when I say we, obviously, we're Buffalo Sabres fans. So um, I'm speaking about the Sabres, but they outplayed them, outskated them. The only place they didn't out them was in goal
Hmm.
in
Yep.
that game seven. So I think that, Montreal came in to game one of that Carolina series um, and kind of preyed upon the rustiness of Carolina. But that was the only game in which I thought that they were offensively uh, stellar is not even the right word, effective.
Right.
They just didn't get enough shots the rest of the series. They lose or they win game one, they lose game two in overtime, they lose game three in overtime, and then they get their doors blown off. So they held on for two more games after their win, and then they end up losing both of those overtime games, and then they get their doors blown off in the last two games. I could see that coming. I just figured Carolina would find a way to win game one, and it would be a sweep. But
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I know I was telling you that the one, I think it might have been the game seven of the Montreal series with Buffalo, where Marc Messier during the intermission was talking about, because there was talk about, one of those teams were going to end up playing Carolina,
mhm.
and Carolina and Colorado have had quite a time off, and about rustiness and what have you, being hockey ready and game ready. Messier thought it was a bunch of malarkey, going back to his days with the Edmonton Oilers. But I just think
Different game.
it did show. Yes, it did show. I did show briefly with the Canes. It showed really, it really showed up with Colorado. Now, was that, the you know, the fact that they lost the series wasn't necessarily only due to inactivity. Certainly,
No injuries.
and injuries, yes. And losing McCarr was a big blow
For the first two games.
for the first two games, yes. So, yes, when it all shakes out, Vegas was a better team, no question about it. They're peaking at the right time. Don't know if the coaching change made any huge difference. And obviously, they're in the final.
Something.
I do think, but to answer your original question about how I think it's going to shake out, right now I think Colorado, or not Colorado, I think Vegas is a hot team. I really do. So they're going to be dangerous. They've got some. They're both teams are deep,
Mhm.
but and goaltending,
But one team's won the cup recently and one has not.
true, very true. So I like the way Vegas is playing. I think Vegas will win this series. I think it's going to be a long series. I think it could go 6 or 7 games. But I think at the end, I think it's going to be Vegas. I
I
think.
tend to agree with you. I'm thinking Vegas in like 6.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7 games, but I don't like the matchups. And I really don't care if Carolina's fourth line looked great against Montreal. I
Right.
just don't think it matters
Right.
because they're
Right.
going up against a much different team in
Oh, yeah.
Vegas who has a pedigree of winning and winning quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And they've won a cup.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they
Mm-hmm.
won 2 cups, but one recently. Um, and their top 6 right now is playing about as well as any top 6
Right. I agree.
at forward than as any team out there.
Right. Right.
You've got Eichel on the one line and Marner on the other. Surrounded by complementary players who make differences. I think Carolina is going to need to be ready for a very heavy series.
Right. I agree.
And I don't know that they have that in their DNA.
And it's a funny series in a way, as neither goaltender is like
A world beater.
elite. Yeah, like elite. We're talking very good goaltending. We're talking good defense in front of the goaltending,
Mhm.
but neither one's going to end up in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Uh, I think so. It's not going to come down to a goalie stealing a game. It's going to come down to just hard hitting, like you said, heavy um, hockey. So,
And I just don't know that Carolina has that in them. They haven't really been required to do
right,
that.
right,
Um, Philadelphia tried to, but Philadelphia's problem is they're too slow to catch them.
right, exactly,
And
exactly.
I don't know that you can say the same for Vegas. Yeah, there's some players that are not fleet of foot, but some of those players will, I mean, I'm thinking Braden McNabb
Mm-hmm,
will
mm-hmm.
make an example out of somebody at
Yeah,
some point.
right, right.
And for him, hopefully it doesn't mean 5-minute major in a game misconduct, but uh, I I cannot get to a place where I'm rooting for Carolina because I cannot stand their fans. Like they've just been given things they don't deserve. But frankly, Vegas has too. I just have too much. There's too much there with Carolina from the '06 season.
Oh
As
yeah,
much as
yeah.
I probably don't love seeing Jack win another cup. Uh,
Well, hockey fans are like elephants. We don't forget. That
and that
2006
Carolina
season,
2006,
that
that
big
05
thing.
'06 team did not deserve to lose to Carolina there. I mean, we had people who were,
Well, what did we have that game? Like two healthy
we had
defensemen.
2 of our top 6 defensemen healthy. We had one guy playing his first playoff game ever in game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And you had Jeff Gilson out there, Doug Janik out there, guys who were AHL
guys that are journeymen, and they
yeah,
just
that were tweeners.
yeah. So it was a tough one.
Yeah.
But
So and
I'm
then
with
Jamie
you.
Key had what freaking a staph infection,
Mhm.
crying or MRSA or something. So like we couldn't even catch a break there. And well, what else is new in the life of a Buffalo sports fan?
Right, right.
So I think you're right about the viewership. I would be surprised if we saw any big numbers from this.
I don't think we will. I really don't.
You know, Vegas is a pretty big market, but I don't know how much Carolina draws as far as like eyeballs on television. Um, you know, I'm sure you'll get this market as being one of the higher ones that will still watch it.
Yeah, usually is. Yeah.
Those places that watch hockey still tend to watch hockey. Detroit, Minnesota, well, Michigan in general,
Right,
upper
right.
Northeast. But, you know, you're not going to get the casual fan tuning in, I don't think. And, you know, you'll get Canada, but not like you would if Montreal was in the finals.
Oh, I agree. Well, yeah, I think for the NHL,
It's not a great
it's
matchup
not
for
a great
them.
matchup for television, right?
But Gary Bettman deserves nothing less than that because he is an incompetent jackass.
Yes, he is. And I will.
For those that don't know, here's a piece of sports history, and we weren't going to get into too much sports history because there's a lot of, you know, recent sports
Right.
stuff that's come up since we've last recorded, and we've never recorded a live show. Hence this first one where we're live at least together, albeit not live on YouTube. Thank you, Google. What was I saying?
We're
What was I
getting
about to
into
get
something
into?
about Bettman.
Oh, Bettman.
And
Yes,
it's
here's a piece of history. Is Bettman worked in the NBA front office, and David Stern, who was the commissioner of the NBA, recommended him as a candidate for the NHL head commissioner position. And I think he did it because he knew that he could steal his lunch whenever his lunch
hmm
money whenever he wanted to,
hmm
and he knew what his weaknesses were and maybe what his strengths were, and that he could beat him in promotion. And they've crushed the NHL in promotion, the NBA has.
Yes, yes, they have.
Bettman is a mediocre white dude who just failed up.
hmm
Why he's still the commissioner, I guess you'll have to ask the owners. I guess they don't like making more money.
I still think, yeah, and we've talked about this
It should be a hockey guy.
endlessly. I do think it should be a guy with deep roots in hockey. I know he's long gone. Oh, he's gone, not
He's
long
gone
gone.
now, but
But my stance was always Ken Dryden. But obviously Ken Dryden passed away. We lost him,
there has
unfortunately.
to be other.
There's others
There
out
has
there.
to be other
There's other
famous.
hockey
There has to be
people.
other players that had a long career that have law degrees now or some sort of degree that would make them a candidate for the commissioner position because Gary Bettman ain't doing it. When did he take this league over?
It would have been back, and it was before what was before?
Siri, when did Gary
Yeah, I'm not
Bettman
sure.
take over the
I want to
NHL?
say 90s, maybe late 90s.
Oh my God.
Was it? Did I hear 82?
No,
Oh,
it just pisses me off more.
no.
Uh, well, if Siri is in fact correct, and that is also debatable, he took over in 93. So
Okay.
he took the league over at its height,
hmm
really, because the Rangers would win the 94 Cup with the Game 7 Mark Messier guarantee, and the league would never be as popular as it was then. It's been all downhill from there, and he just gets to skate the fuck right downhill.
And the funny thing was, I'm sure our hardcore hockey fans, when every time Gary Bettman shows up, he gets
He
booed.
gets booed
That tells you something.
mercilessly.
Although so does Goodell,
Well, he deserves it too.
it tells you something about what we've been talking about. I just think there's a better option out there.
He
I don't know
deserves it
what it
too
is.
because, frankly, you know, he is the mouthpiece that runs around the league telling cities that they need to come up with public tax dollars to fund,
Here's a
you know,
name for you,
stadiums.
tongue in cheek, maybe, but we were just talking about him the other day. He's got a law degree from Princeton
Oh, there's an idea.
and an economics degree from Princeton,
Probably much better.
and played the game.
Yep. And that is George Peros,
Exactly.
former NHL tough guy, but he definitely has the
Oh, he's got the
smart.
education too, I think, and And
Hopefully he didn't take too many hits to the head, but
I
he
know,
seems to be
but
somewhat competent in his position, but he would be a much better choice.
I think ironically, what you were talking about earlier, I think the fact that Bettman was put in the role of commissioner was his ability to market the league. But
Which he then didn't do.
unfortunately, when you make comparisons, side by side comparisons between the NHL and the NBA, like
Well,
you
first of
said,
all, it's harder to market the NHL. Was he good at it, or was he just good at in a environment that was already conducive to
I think he
being
was
able to
good.
market
I think he
players?
was good at an environment that was already conducive. You got to remember, he was there when Michael Jordan was at his height.
93. So they were starting to win championships.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Granted, he left, but
But he left. But yeah, but he would have been there through
but he was there through the Bird. I
Bird
think he was there
magic.
during the Bird Magic
So
experiment. So
I just think he's a butthead who needs to be out of that position. Go work in corporate America somewhere. He's a sick. He's an idiot.
not a big fan. Not
No.
a big fan.
So that's our thoughts on this coming Stanley Cup. Perhaps we'll be recording. I try to cut the ums out. As I did it again. We're gonna probably try to throw an update in here between now and our next episode, which is slated that today is May 31st, is slated for June 20th.
Perfect segue, man. I know where you're going with this one.
Yes, so we're gonna dive into a little Champions League final.
I needed a few of those guys yesterday.
Yeah.
Like Henri.
Well, he was there,
He was there. Maybe he should have dressed.
but he also lost a Champions League final in '06, 20 years ago, to Barcelona, 2-1. Arsenal loses 1-1 on penalty kicks to Paris Saint-Germain. Put me in quite the mood yesterday. It takes a slight bit of luster off the Premier League win, but not enough for me not to feel a great sense of pride at finally breaking through after 22 years in the Premier League. And we'll talk more about this in one of our future episodes, but a big historical, frankly, fact that the fans of the rest of the EPL maybe don't admit as often as they should is the deconstruction of the early 2000s Arsenal teams were a direct result of them needing to build a new stadium, and they needed to come up with money. And so, Henri got sold to Barcelona. Fabregas got sold to Barcelona eventually. Then Percy got sold to Man United, and I never wanted to see him again.
Right.
But big players from those teams ended up getting sold to start to put funds together to build Emirates Stadium, which you and I have been to and posted some pictures of. But a team having to come up with those funds privately, which they don't have to do here, which is ridiculous. Put them kind of behind the eight ball for a good 15 to 20 years. I know, when we had talked to Perry Groves at Emirates Stadium, I believe he said, and I believe it to be accurate, that Arsene Wenger, the architect of those late 90s, early 2000s Arsenal teams, didn't want to coach until he coached, but he felt it was his duty to try to follow through on the plan to build Emirates, which has since been renovated to add more seating and is supposed to be renovated again to add more seating, but they're in a much different monetary situation now, especially with late deep Champions League runs the last 3 years comes with some because you're getting you're getting paid for the Champions League. You're also getting more home games. But you don't get a home game in the finals. That's a one-shot deal. But I'm glad that they're back amongst the European elite because that's where they belong.
Right, exactly.
For the size of the fan base across the world, we saw tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people in African cities celebrating the Premier League trophy. And Me, myself, I have not been able to stop watching YouTube videos of them celebrating either.
No, there have been amazing celebrations.
But you could see at least that part, the stress
Right,
melt away.
right.
And I'm hoping and I think that we will see a much more free-flowing Arsenal team, provided some teams allow us to play that way, unless they just play low block all day. Um, Next year, I'm hoping that with some additional, getting to the Champions League final will put us in a good financial situation to
Hmm.
go out and get more players to try to take us over the top. But the players that stay, that monkey is off their back. They won the Premier League. They won it actually kind of going away, even though it was very tight up until the second last game.
Right, exactly.
The last game didn't matter. Then they end up winning it by 7 points and on goal differential. But let's jump to the game yesterday because I have some thoughts on that, and I think you do as well.
Oh yeah. I want to ask you one question, but before we get into that,
Sure.
prestige wise,
Yes.
would you consider the yesterday's championship or the champion of the Premier League more prestigious?
I believe Arteta was quoted after the game saying this. We won the big one, but we lost the biggest one.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
The Premier League title is incredibly important. If they went and won 5 Premier League titles now
Mhm.
in a row and
Mhm.
didn't win the Champions League,
Mhm.
that would mean a ton.
Right, right,
However, it is the biggest trophy. It is one that they do not have. The Champions League's not been around as long as the Premier League
right,
has.
right,
The Arsenal has, I believe, 4 of modern day Premier League championships.
right, right.
Late 90s, and then two in the early 2000s, and then this year in 26. But I kind of look at it for me as the Super Bowl is here,
Mhm.
right?
Right,
Stanley Cup is here.
right,
Arsenal's win is like here.
right.
And the SU basketball championship is probably like right between there.
Right, right.
But as much as I love the Stanley Cup and I think it's the hardest trophy to win,
Mhm.
the Super Bowl allows me to talk shit to so much more people
Oh yeah.
because more people care about it.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
a Champions League allows me to talk shit
Right,
to
right.
fans of any team and not just fans of Premier League.
And I know it's not a factor like yesterday's game. I mean, I'm not going to say the best team won. I'm just going to say we were talking earlier today, and I'm equating for people that aren't familiar with the Premier League and what have you. I can equate it for people that don't understand the Premier League is like, and if you're a football fan in America, a college football fan, Southeast Conference, hardest conference,
That's the
in
Premier
my
League.
opinion, in college football, because every week, whether you're playing the top teams or the bottom feeders,
Mhm.
you got a tough game, and there's a good chance you're going to go in and lose that game. So the Premier League is the same way. Even the bottom feeders, they're
There's
good.
no days off.
Yeah, there's no days off. They're good. NFL, I guess you could equate it with the NFL too. I mean, even the Jets could be dangerous on one particular Sunday.
Yeah.
One.
I think it's more consistent in the Premier League.
But yes,
Consistently different because there's only 20 teams, top to bottom.
How many?
3 worst teams get relegated down to the league below, and the best 3 teams come up. Those teams are getting a lot of money to come up, and they're able to purchase new rosters and put together competitive teams. We saw Sunderland come up this year, and what did they finish 8th?
They finished 8th, and and the
They've actually
games are
been in
not
European football.
the games are like 2-1, 1-0,
Mhm.
1-1. That's how the games end. Even a real good team against a so-called bad team. So
I mean, Arsenal beat West Ham 1-0. West Ham got relegated. That was late in the season, and it was tighter than I would have liked to see it. But that's just how the Premier League is won. You have to beat those teams that are lower in the table, in the standings, but it's not an easy task.
and just changing direction here now. The I was talking to Matt this morning about. I think the Champions League this morning should be embarrassed by yesterday's officiating show.
I thought it was really
I don't
biased.
know. The officials, by the way, were from Germany.
Hmm.
I do not know what the referee was seeing. If I was a conspiracy theorist, I would say the fix was in. Now, I'm not going to go there. I just think either he was totally incompetent or
Or
they have a whole different philosophy about refereeing than they do in the Premier League. So I'll let you go from there.
well, that's part of it. I think regardless of who is in the Champions League final, I think if there is a Premier League representative, they are at a disadvantage because these referees in the Champions League call stuff that they do not call in the Premier League. Now, let me take away the entire issue of what happened in extra time yesterday,
Right.
which was an Arsenal player getting called down in the box, which,
Mhm.
in my opinion, that's a penalty kick. I've seen much less be given penalty kicks all throughout this Champions League. In fact, PSG was on the receiving end of that against Bayern Munich. If I take that out of the equation, the first 90 minutes of normal time, every 50-50 ball that Arsenal came away with, there was a foul.
Mhm.
Every one.
Mhm.
And they played replays, and there were plenty of non-fouls out there. And he did it throughout the entire game. And then the yellow cards early in the second half were just for what? Mosquera got a yellow card for basically not throwing the ball in 4 seconds,
Which is very rarely, if ever,
which is ridiculous.
enforced in the Premier League.
But 4 seconds in the Premier League, it's 8 seconds.
Okay, yeah.
And that's for the goaltender to like kick the ball in. I don't know if that rule,
Yeah.
continues in other areas of getting the ball in. Between that, them blowing the whistle when we get a free kick at the half and him ending the half,
Which was unusual, I thought.
which is extremely unusual. They'll either do this. They'll either blow it immediately or they'll let the corner kick play out. He didn't do
They
either
usually
of
let
that.
those things play out. They usually let a set
But if
piece
they're
play
gonna
out.
end the half, the whistle comes as soon as that ball goes out,
Mhm.
regardless of who headed it out.
Right, exactly.
But he didn't do that.
No, you didn't.
So what was the expectation? That they were going to 100% sprint over there and put the ball in play?
Right. Yeah.
Would he hold PSG to that same? Would he hold them to the same thing?
What I didn't like was every chance that when Arsenal would have got the ball, every chance that they seemed to have to either, go on the offensive, a PSG was
Just falling over.
feigning an injury, falling over, flopping on the turf. A few times the referee ignored it, which I'm glad he did, but other times in replay,
No,
they're feigning getting hit in the head or something, and there was nothing there.
there was that play,
And I don't like that.
Late
I
in
thought
the
that was
second
very
half.
unsportsmanlike
Miles,
in my book.
Lewis Skelly, right at the top of the box, and he's about to bolt into the box with the ball because he turns the other direction, and the guy pretends like he got punched in the face and immediately goes down, and it takes away a great scoring chance for Arsenal, in which the defenders were all leaning the wrong way.
No, the flow of the game was
The flow of
very,
the game
very
was
bad
completely
because of
upset.
the type of play PSG employed and the inability for the referee to control it.
And I understand that the possession was wildly in PSG's favor, but if you watch the game, every 50-50 ball was a foul
Mhm.
on Arsenal. Every one that they won was a foul. There were very few times in which they were able to come away with the ball. And I don't know how many times Havertz got fouled over the back, but it had to be 3 times.
They were
That
literally
was not
tackling
called.
people. They're tackling people out there. But there was some great form tackling.
And out the side, and besides the penalty kick, they gave the best offense in the world nothing.
Right.
Essentially nothing.
Right.
They gave them nothing. And I guess that's where you could say they needed to score a second goal. But I don't know. So I thought the refereeing was embarrassing. I think the optics of the PSG chairman sitting next to the UEFA president is really sketchy.
That's sketchy.
I don't
Sure.
care if you guys are friends. You can't sit next to each other.
On the NFL, you have your own box where you're
And you
sitting.
shouldn't be that close with somebody with that much power.
And I don't know. Again, I'm
Like, God forbid the Qatari government loses some money, even though they're making money hand over fist with PSG. But for
exactly.
crying out loud, the fact that it's owned by a government, it just drives me fucking nuts. That shouldn't be allowed.
It should not be allowed. That's where ownership issues.
I know Arsenal is owned by a
arisen.
billionaire American, but they're not owned by a country with a development fund,
Exactly.
for crying out loud.
Exactly. Yep.
So they had their Arsenal did have their parade today in London, and getting showered with all of the love that they deserve. But I will be interested to see what the roster looks like to start next season, because I do have a feeling that there's going to be some players moved out. Well, I know there's going to be some players moved out, but maybe some names that you didn't expect to.
Any ideas who you think might be?
Well, I think either Winery or Skelly needs to go to start to balance the Bucks, and unfortunately, I think it's going to be Winery, as much as I don't really want to lose him. With the emergence of Max Dowman, kind of makes Winery expendable, and I think that Skelly showed that he's the guy to play with Declan against really athletic midfields and forwards. And Skelly's 19, so he's only going to get better from here. He's been stuck at left back, but him playing senior defense or central defensive midfielder late in the season really kind of changed some of their fortunes. So I do think you're going to probably see completely new lineup on the left side.
Okay.
I think Martinelli and Trossard maybe going out the door. As much as I love Martinelli, I think he scored some huge goals for them this year. There were just too many games in which he didn't exist. He did score a lot of Champions League goals, and he scored a huge goal to pull them even and draw against Man City super late earlier in the season.
Yep.
So I guess if one's going to stay, maybe it's him, but I think Trossard, as much as he's been a very important part of this, the development of this, hopefully, squad burgeoning out of dynasty, I think that's an area that they can get better.
Right.
I think that there's probably an area to get better at striker, getting a second striker in there. And I know that his wage probably makes him an attractive player to take out of the roster, but I just have a feeling that Havertz is not leaving yet. He does make a lot, and he has had some injury issues, but he does have the ability to play midfield, and he has the ability to play striker.
Right.
And he's been more used as a striker, but he scores in huge games.
Yes, I was just gonna say,
in huge games.
He has that innate ability to find the ball, be where the ball is, or where the ball is going to be. So now you were saying earlier, I want you to comment on. So you feel, and some of it might have been injury issues, but you said the inconsistency of the personnel on the front line there.
It's the inconsistency of the same lineup week after week.
Okay.
So they were not getting, because of Havertz's injury, because of Saka's injury, because of Etse's injury, because of Odegaard's injury, they did not have the same attacking group together for much of the year. They were plugging guys in and out because of injuries. So late in the season, especially against Fulham, when they had that 3-0 win, that seemed to be like the first time that the guys who were planning on starting really started to get a lot of run together.
Right.
And I think they need to keep that continuity if possible. But, I don't think the right side, at least up front, is going to be looked at. You got Saka there, you have Madueke behind him, you have Dowman behind him. They're probably going to have to get another right back. I think Ben White, as much as I love Ben White, this might be his last season. I don't know if you can physically do it
Well,
anymore.
once again, he's in another lineup. He's had knee injuries, which are not good.
And I
And
think
can
that
slow you down.
maybe he's just getting to the age where his body's breaking down.
Could be, yeah, that could very
And
well
he
be.
gave them everything he could this year. He was, and up until it looked like he maybe was torn his ACL.
Right, right,
Um, but still a very important part of the team, even when he was out.
right, exactly.
Big locker room guy. But I think he's probably going to be looked at as someone who they may move out. And Capier is going to be purchased, I believe, from Bayer Leverkusen because he was on a loan deal this year and with a option to buy. And I think he played really well.
Good
I
point.
had some thought. I had some doubts about him early in the season, but he settled in well and showed that he can play at that level. So there'll be more Arsenal talk in a future episode.
Okay.
So I don't want
Yes,
to beat
yes,
it.
we have a show coming up, which is going to be a lot of Arsenal talk.
Yes, we're going to talk about the Invincibles, but I don't want to step on it too much, even though I've already talked about it a little bit. It is the last time Arsenal won the domestic trophy in the Premier League, and that team did not lose a game. The only team to do that in the modern Premier Leagues. We're gonna have a guest on. We're gonna talk about that.
That will be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we did see the replica of the Premier League trophy for that season, which is the only one that's in gold. Because the trophy is silver, but the replica that they have for the Invincibles is a golden
Gold.
replica.
It's gold.
Yes, and it is in the one of the big boxes
Hmm.
that they have at Emirates. So,
Yes, we saw that. Yes.
jumping down to NBA Finals, neither of us have watched any NBA, but we do know that the Knicks and Spurs are playing. Victor Wembanyama, and a couple of additional high first round picks have made the Spurs very competitive very quickly. I mean, having a guy who's like 7'4" but can
Yeah,
play like he's 6'8"
I know.
is obviously kind of a
Amazing.
cheat code.
Yep.
But the Knicks haven't been super relevant in a while, so I think it's probably good for the NBA to have that market.
I think it's good for the NBA, and I can guarantee the viewership will be
Considerably
much
higher.
greater in the NBA final than
Well,
in the Stanley Cup final.
I think that goes without saying.
Obviously,
That was going to happen anyway.
the number one TV market in the country. So
Mhm.
that will be well, like you said, it's going to be a interesting series to watch.
I'll be interested to see who's in
And
the who has courtside seats.
yes, exactly. And the Knicks, and I think you're right. I think it's important when the Knicks are relevant, and they have been relevant since the what
Mid 90s.
mid '90s
Ewing and then
with
Allen
Ewing. Yes.
Houston, that
Yep.
Allen Houston
Hmm.
team.
So
Oh
yeah,
wow.
I think it's important.
I know
Good for the NBA.
they've been in the playoffs since then, but they have not made the finals in quite some time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, Additionally, the French Open has gone underway, and we've been watching a little bit of it. And on the men's draw, wide the fuck open.
Yes, if
When's the last time a tournament was this open in a major?
not
Because you went right from Nadal, Federer,
right.
etc., Djokovic to Djokovic, Sinner, Alcaraz, and no one else has really been winning those
It
tournaments.
it hasn't been as wide open that I can remember.
In a long time.
It would be back pre Big Three. Yeah, because usually since that time,
But there's been two big threes back to back.
yes, there has been two Big Threes back to back. And so anyway, to answer your question, I think as you said, it's wide open.
Mhm.
I watched Sasha Zverev's match today. He looked very good. He beat a player straight sets that he should have beaten straight sets, and he did.
But at his seeding, he's the highest seed left.
He's the highest seed left, and that there's been a lot of scuttlebutt the last couple years about his inability to win a major.
Although he probably should have made it further in the Open last year. He sustained an injury in the fifth set,
He did,
didn't
yes. He had a couple.
Or third set. He had to retire.
He had a couple major injuries over his career that prevented him from possibly winning in slams. But it's wide open, like you said. So if he's going to win one, this would be a great place to start. You also got to look at guys like what were the American
Tiafo.
Tiafo is playing well. The
Some of the Spanish.
young Brazilian Fonseca is playing the Norwegian Rude, Casper Rude this evening. Well,
And
actually, they're playing right now over
that
there.
Frenchman who played yesterday, the young Frenchman.
Yes, the Frenchman.
I don't remember his name.
Teenager, I believe he's still a teenager.
Yeah.
Exciting to watch. So, the men's jaws wide open, and most likely we will have a first time. Well, no, not most likely.
We are gonna have
a first time slam champion.
Because it's not been, in the last maybe dozen years, there have been winners that were not part of the big three that maybe beat one of the big three. But there hasn't been a tournament in which they all get knocked out this early.
No, there hasn't.
And the only one who didn't get knocked out is Alcaraz, who has an injury that isn't even playing.
Right,
He would be the favorite.
He would be the favorite, yeah.
But to have Djokovic and Sinner get knocked out, now you got none of the big three in there. So somebody's going to win. Someone's going to win 7 matches in a row.
And then on the ladies' side, we've still got the number one player in the world in Sabalenka. On paper, she's probably the favorite right now, but she's playing Osaka tomorrow, which will be interesting.
Who's gotten a lot better.
Who's gotten better. But as they were talking today, they feel that Sabalenka's footwork is superior to Osaka's. So we'll have to wait and see. Also, Andreeva, the youngster from
Ukraine.
The Ukraine, or Belarus, is it?
No, I thought she was from the Ukraine and wouldn't shake the hand of Belarusian.
Well, no, that's Svetlana.
Oh, okay.
Who could win? She's playing probably of anybody out there right now. She's playing the best tennis. She's the one married to Gael Monfils.
Oh, okay.
And she won today in 3 sets over the Swiss player. And she's already won this year on the tour, so she could do some damage. So that's going to be an interesting finish. There's going to be some interesting and good tennis being played there too. So, so on the men's side, we have big question mark. On the ladies' side, we have the number one player,
but then some others, a smattering of other seeds. Some top seeds on the women's side are already out of the tournament.
And for those of you who are, not tennis players and understand the various surfaces, playing on clay, you've got to be very patient. And
the slowest of
points are long, grueling. And there's last year's final with the men was close to 5 hours.
And your footwork has to be superior because the surface you're on is not hard.
No.
I mean, it's hard, but you can slide on it.
Right.
Because it's clay.
You slide into the ball, yeah. So give it a watch if you it's fun to watch.
It's on HBO, TNT.
TNT and True TV.
Yeah, and I think if you have an HBO
and
Max
HBO
account, you can get it.
Right?
Yeah, you can HBO Max account.
Or Mac,
get all or if that's even what the fuck it's called anyway.
I've been watching it last week on HBO Max. Yeah.
So the next thing we got coming up is the World Cup. I'm going to save any of my comments about what a disaster I think it's probably going to be here, with respect to travel, the way the government is handling foreigners, et cetera, et cetera. The price of tickets, which is astronomical. Basically, FIFA trying to figure out how much can they squeeze people for.
Mm-hmm. Which is what
at a time in which people cannot afford basic necessities. So that's going to be interesting to see what the crowds look like, because I don't think they're going to look very big here at all. I think it's going to be an embarrassment.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about I'm a little concerned about that too, as far as ticket prices, and people that are going to be able to afford to go. They're playing for those of you who haven't been keeping up. I don't remember all the venues, but we're in Atlanta, we're in at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we're in the Meadowlands,
You're at Seattle,
we're in Seattle, we're in SoFi in
AT&T
LA.
Stadium.
Yes, so big.
Somehow Arrowhead gets some
Yeah,
attention.
which is
Uh,
I don't know. I just
that's it.
Kansas City fans. I don't know how you deal with that dump you play in, but to be honest with you, how KC got they have a Major League Soccer team, don't they? Kansas City.
I don't know.
But I don't know about that facility. I know.
Let's think about it this way. The facility that we just got out of was a nicer facility than they currently have.
Much nicer.
And men peed in the sink in that facility consistently. In fact, it came up during the Champions League game yesterday when I was waiting in line for the urinal. Guy said, if we were at the Ralph right now, we'd all be pissing in the sink. And I said,
Exactly.
we'd already be out of there by now. We'd already be out of there.
Now you got me thinking about the Kenny episode.
With the shit on the turtle in the urinal.
Yes.
Yeah. But as far as the World Cup actual play is concerned,
give me your favorites, man. Who are your favorites?
my favorites. I'll give you I'll give you who I'm rooting for, and then I'll give you a dark horse favorite.
Okay, that's a good one to go.
Because
I'll give you mine.
yes, I would like to see the United States win. Say I'm not feeling super patriotic right now, but I still would like to see USA Soccer do something. I think they'll get out of group play. I don't know that they'll get any further than that because they just don't have the horses that some of the other top tier clubs have. They're still just middling.
All right.
They probably would have qualified for this World Cup, but it was no guarantee. Mexico and Canada also get in because they are venues for some of the games, but they also might have gotten in. And I think only two of the three countries would be allowed to get in if this World Cup were elsewhere.
Okay.
So it's a bit abnormal for Mexico, Canada, and the United States to be in the World Cup.
Right.
Although I will say that Canada's program has improved drastically over the past decade. They do have a couple of pretty high-end players. So my pick to win and who I will be rooting for to win when the U.S. gets knocked out is England. And that's for a couple different reasons. There's a lot of Arsenal players on that team. But also I'm tired of England getting NF'd for not winning the World Cup in a long time.
Right.
When they are clearly one of the better teams in the country, or in the world, I should say. I'm sorry, one of the better teams in the world, and they haven't been able to kind of get it done. I'd like to see them get it done. I don't know that their roster, as it is currently constructed, is the best group to do that, but I think they certainly have a much better chance in the United States. Dark horse pick is going to be. I'm kind of vacillating between two. Maybe Portugal as a dark horse. Ronaldo in his last World Cup. But they do have other players on that team, really highly talented. But I think they're probably behind the likes of Spain, Germany, teams like that. Obviously, Italy is not in the World Cup this year. But so yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I'm rooting for England, but Portugal's kind of my dark horse pick, even though they may not be super dark horse.
Right.
I think they are kind of the upper echelon of the middle tier, or maybe the lower part of the upper tier. So that's my thought on that.
I think they're good picks. I'm always looking at teams like it seems like since I've been watching the World Cup since the 90s, I would say I'm always impressed by Spain and Germany. They always seem to have really good teams.
Yeah.
Used to be impressed by Belgium, but we've talked earlier today that they're kind of that
They're in the middle
generation
of a
is
generation issue
gone now.
right
It's
now,
over.
and they need new
Um,
Belgian players to come in
you
and
still got Argentina, which could be make things
that's true
interesting.
because
Yeah.
they do have a lot of talent at
Hmm.
other positions, and I wonder, what does Messi have left in the tank
What
at an international level?
what surprises me, and I don't know if you I think we were discussing it a little bit earlier today, but I don't know. I don't really know, and it might have been some other stuff going on in the backgrounds, but being an Italian American, if the U.S. is gone, knocked out of the
Right.
tournament, I usually go to Italy and pull for the Italians because they have a legacy of great football, but they've missed a World Cup recently, and
How they won the Euros and missed the World Cup,
that's what I'm
I'll never
saying.
understand because they
And
went undefeated in Euros. It's
and
the
if you
same teams.
exactly, and you look at their philosophy of other development of other sports, let's take a look at pro tennis.
Mhm.
Italians all over the place in pro tennis, both sides, men and women.
Mhm.
Alpine skiing,
Yeah.
loaded.
Well, that's probably partially because of the Olympics.
Well, the Olympics, but they've been good for a while.
They
So
have.
what happens with a sport that there's multiple newspapers in that country dedicated to only football. And
For them not to
and them for
make.
them not to have a team in the World Cup is just either someone's really dropping the ball over there, or I don't know what Alice is preventing this team from qualifying. So,
Yeah.
but looking forward to the coverage. I believe is it on who's covering it? Fox? Is Fox Sports
I'm not
doing
sure.
the coverage, and so looking forward to the games, and we'll see where we'll see what might happen. But
There is a team that I think might.
what's that? What's your
Um, well, I think I have a real dark horse pick.
who's that now?
South Korea.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
They
so
just
with
seem to
Japan, what does
create
Japan got
problems.
players?
They just seem to create problems for teams with their quickness and speed.
Yeah,
That'll be my like true dark horse pick, I think.
yeah.
But I don't know that it's going to be a memorable World Cup. And hopefully, if it is memorable, it's for the right reasons.
I hope so. I'm kind of waiting. I just don't think the Americans are there yet. I'm just kind of waiting
They may
for.
never be there. There's so many sports to play in this
Oh,
country.
that's true. That's true. Some of our best athletes are obviously going to other sports. So, but so anyway, coming up
June
in
12th
June it
for
starts.
for the US. I believe games may start before that too. I think the first game is in Mexico City. The kickoff game. I don't know who it is, but I believe it's at Estadio Azteca. Um, I suppose I could look it up, but that's not good pod if we're both not talking on video. And then the last thing we got coming up, well, this kind of runs into Wimbledon too, but we're not even through the French Open yet. But the Tour de France is coming up. We did a show on the Tour de France about a year ago. I think that was like the second or third show we did on
Hmm.
some of the more
The history of the tour.
strange pieces of history of the tour and also the tour itself. Um, but I'm interested to see what happens this year after what happened last year. I think that there's some interesting uh, subplots in this Tour de France after last year's tour, in which, the winner, Tajay Pogacar, kind of ran away with it at the end. Um, I'm hoping that there's a little bit more competitiveness this year
Yes, so do I.
throughout throughout all of the
Because I actually know you were only able to watch it live on the weekends.
mhm,
I was fortunate being semi-retired
to watch it
to
live.
watch it every morning with my coffee. So I tuned into Peacock every morning and I really enjoyed it. And
Yeah,
I was sad when it was over because it was fun watching. Not only is it a great race and you're seeing the drama of competition,
but
it's
there's
also
races within
it's
races.
races within races, a lot of strategy, but it's also a great travelogue on the country of France and how diverse France is regarding geography and
You got huge
antiquity.
cities, you have farmland, it's a lot like the United States, really.
It
It's
is.
smaller.
And
You have coast.
you got these little villages that are, and once again, they're much like England. There's buildings in those
Towns that
villages and
are 1,000
townhouses.
years old.
Exactly. And then the mountains in the south of France, the
Mhm.
Alps, and that one show where the climb was pretty much straight up.
Yeah, and then there was that one that looks like the surface of the moon because there's like
Exactly.
nothing
Yes.
growing there.
Exactly. So it's an amazing event, and it's really, I think, one of the more
It's a
goosebump goosebump creating day is that final day when they enter Paris.
especially if it's close.
Yes. Yes.
Even
Say
if
it
it's
was
just close on the teams for the teams.
So
Because just like F1, there's like a manufacturer's trophy as well. So,
mhm.
the team with the sponsors, there's a sponsor trophy. The team that finishes the best, you know, they wear a certain outfit. And then obviously the guy who's leading wears the yellow jersey, but there are also other jerseys. There's the sprint leader who wears the green jersey. There's
Mhm.
the king of the mountains who wears the polka dot jersey.
Yep.
So, there's other things to go for that I think makes it more attractive to sponsors, which just makes it a bigger event.
So check it out. So that's coming in July.
July, along with
Pretty
the
much the whole
Wimbledon.
month
Yep,
of July.
it's 21 days. They get 2 days. What's it? 21 stages. They get 2 days off. So I think it's 23
Yeah.
days.
If I
Yeah.
remember, it starts right around the end of our 4th of July weekend, doesn't it?
Mhm. Yeah.
In there,
Yep.
because it's lots of racing.
Maybe I'll take the first day off.
Yeah, you should see the start of it.
Mhm.
It doesn't always start in the same spot.
No, it does not. It has started in England. It has started in Spain,
Where did it start this past year? I didn't see the very
Belgium,
first
I
race.
think,
Okay.
maybe. I'm just checking our Facebook, see if we got anything.
Any questions
Any
or anything?
question?
An answer?
No. It'll be easier when we actually are able to go live.
Yes, that would be fun.
Be nice. So, you got anything else?
I don't have anything else right now. Just
Right now, I'm just hoping that this microphone's been working the whole time because if it hasn't,
It's
even though it
working.
is still plugged in, we won't know until we go and listen to this again. All right.
We're ready.
All right. For Greg, I'm Matt. This has been episode 27 of Echoes from the Arena. Please like us on Facebook. Also find us and subscribe on YouTube. It's free. You can also find our episodes on Podbean as well as Apple Podcasts. And I am looking into Spotify. I'll see if that's a viable option for us as long as I don't have to pay for it.
Sounds good.
So, once again, that is Greg, my father, and this is Matt. And this has been episode 27 of Echoes from the Arena.